Hi there, welcome to another 5 to 9. My name is Tristan Bailey from the digital agency Holdingbay, and this year I thought we'd kick off with introducing you to some of the metrics and planning that I use to help Holdingbay be a more efficient and balanced company. And the topic we're going to look at today is OEE, which stands for Overall Equipment Effectiveness. Now, this is a technique that I've brought over from some of my manufacturing clients use to monitor the efficiency of their machine workspaces and their tools. What's the efficiency of a particular CNC machine process from start to finish? What we take it on to do is look at including it with the agile process that we use internally with story points and producing effective software each week. We work in 2-week sprints for this, and those roll up as to how we're delivering on our milestones for our clients. But sometimes it's hard to get feedback on how effective those are, or what policies and processes you can put in to improve the effectiveness of this. So what we've used is taken on this OEE to monitor these and see what the throughput is to maintain flow, which is in a sense the goal of the lean agile process that we have with doing sprints. But it was hard to see how processes could improve that fact. You'd only see that data as it went through the projects and not how to improve it. And what I do is I just keep it dead simple and draw out spreadsheets each week, in effect, in my bullet journal. So we do a bullet journal, and then every day I will fill in what points have I achieved that day. Now, it's a much smaller metric than, say, hundreds of units coming off a machine an hour, or thousands a day, or whatever. They're always marked in days, but what we're doing is trying to do the efficiency either at a team level or of a personal level for the output of story points. So instead of counting these in minutes, we count a point. The metric we use currently, which we review periodically, is 100 minutes for a story point, and on average we try and have each member of staff produce 4 story points a day, and try and keep that as a consistency. If they produce more, brilliant. But some days we know it's not going to happen. People are going to be in meetings, they're going to do other things. So what these are is the definition of the story point is delivering business value. So can these items deliver business value, and can we do that consistently? So to break down what we're trying to look for in an OEE it's the overall effectiveness. So we're taking into account the quality, the performance, and the availability. But what the nice thing of this is just with using some very simple data of the output and downtime of the product that day, both planned and non-planned, you can work out some numbers, and the numbers are useful to work out a relativeness of it, because maybe you were available to work all the day. This is applying it to us rather than a machine, but maybe you weren't delivering the work, therefore good availability, not so good quality because there's no parts coming out, there's no story points being done, or maybe the performance and the quality wasn't good because you've done a load of things really well, but then when you went to testing, they all came back and needed fixes and changes, and therefore the quality comes back because we count any bug requests and feature changes as a quality issue. So let's break this down. Each point is scored on the total time available for that day. So we count the minutes available in the workday, and then we subtract the time that we plan not to work, say for breaks and lunchtime, and then we record any other downtime we have in the day. Maybe a system was broken, Maybe someone had to go off for a non-work appointment, or other unexpected things like maybe we were waiting on a client or waiting on an internal review from a manager or something, and so someone's just got to wait on their task, and they don't have anything they can do next because they just need an approval. So it might count for unexpected things. Maybe there's a fire drill, maybe there's something else that's going on, but it allows us some numbers to look back at afterwards. And the last bit that we count is we count the number of story points completed, so business value for production, but we also count the number of defects as a point for production, because it was done and it was positive work, but we also count a point as a defect in the second column, and the defect counts for half as much time as the work. Therefore, the point was a positive thing that we fixed it, but it's only worth half as much as doing it right in the first place, and it will count against us in the quality that we got out at the end of the day. So these all together give us a nice number. We divide one by the other, and we end up with 3 percentages for the end of the day. Sometimes we'll work these out daily, and sometimes we'll work those out at the end of the week, and just plug it into a spreadsheet. And then you multiply the availability by the performance, by the quality, and get out a percentage overall, which is your OEE score. What we do internally is we count that for each day of the week, and we track that on a chart, but we also will total that up for the week, and we have a weekly target, as we expect that maybe some days there's a meeting or a big planning session that's maybe internal stuff or stuff that's not counting for delivering business value, and so that day will average out, one would hope, by catching up on the work and doing the stuff for the rest of the week. And that's how we then monitor that over time. The end result has been, when we've been tracking this, is we can then do periodic reviews, both in our sprint meetings to see how a particular project has gone, and also in the quarterly or personal reviews to see how people felt they're working and give feedback. But these are not data for a long time in the future. They're data for now and being increasing performance now. So we want to continually getting feedback on them. Some examples that we've had with this is, for example, availability. Sometimes availability is affected by the fact that people aren't briefed properly on a task. Maybe there isn't a planning meeting for that particular project, or someone wasn't available for the original planning meeting, and then when they get a task or they were then brought into the project, it's taken them more time to get going with that task. Therefore, the total time to deliver those points and that value is longer. So we can see, let's work back in that process. So that process discussion for the year is to improve processes of making the story tasks smaller, more manageable, and better defined at the beginning of the work. The second one is to do with, say, end of projects. When you're working with other clients and different teams on different projects, sometimes the deliverable at the end of the project, getting that feedback loop up and going with a new client, a new team, can be hard to make sure that you're processing, okay, we've got 10 new pages or a new application. Can we review this in a systemized way, and can we check off the tasks? And just people learning how do they submit a task well, like an issue. Maybe they've seen, okay, we think that graphic you've used is wrong, we want to change it, or we want some more space on another page, or when submitting a form, particular browser or a mobile device, maybe it didn't give the same results as on the live site, or maybe email wasn't set up. There was an issue, someone's missed it in the setup process. You can go back and do that. But all those tasks are totally manageable, and that's what we're trying to get out in that testing phase. But sometimes the information people give when they report that task, or how the process of reviewing and signing off that task is done, can be slightly different on each project, because the team makeup is slightly different. And if we can, so it's driven out that if we can better formalize that and better define that and help train people at the beginning of that phase of how to work with issues that they report and how to give positive feedback as to what's worked and what has been fixed. This can be a positive return, and it decreases that time. So potentially you'll have the same number of bugs to fix, but you'll get them done much faster. Therefore, our efficiencies can be raised. And what other ones have we had? Those are the main ones. The main ones have been around how can tasks be efficiently stacked up and you work through them during a day. And the other one is around efficiently breaking off tasks from submitted bug reports and testing reports. Cool. And what we do with those at the end of the week, when we're turning those into graphs, is just to highlight it. I'll try and give you an overlay afterwards on the attached. So we track the performance during the week, and we have an overall target that we're looking for during the week. So at the moment, we're trying to step up our 70% performance for the week up to 80 and then 85. Best in class can be up somewhere between sort of 85 and 90, but it is hard to maintain consistently, especially when the volume of things that we're working through are relatively small. The sort of single or double errors for needing to fix things or delays can very much impact the score. The second one we do, borrowed from another chart, is we have it as a green. The first aid symbol. This is issues that have arisen. So we colour those in. So this one is say my version of the report that gets rolled up. So the target is 20 points for the week, and we've managed more than 20 points that week. But then I put a slash through for a day that there was a point that there was an issue with. So with that point was to fix a feedback request. So it gets a little slash through, and the idea is to just have a nice single coloured first aid, not lots of errors in it. Next one I track, which is a little bit more personal, not quite tied to this, but I'm trying to tie back the things to value for our business, is we tie it back to monetary tasks. So I convert the breakdown of the type of tasks that were in here into the internal value for the company that we've generated for that day. So it's a little one off track. It's not quite the same fit as these other ones. The next ones is points achieved per day, just to get a seeing of that. So whereas this one's more to look at were any of them related to defects or rework. So we don't tend to call them defects as a category here. We call them rework. So how many story points needed reworking? How many changes and fixes? The next one is just the story points for that day. So what was the achievement? Did you get above the line or below the line with 4 points a day? And the last one is just a breakdown per project. We try and keep to 4 projects or less, one of the projects being internal processes and systems, a week for in process, because more than that is sort of beyond our current capacity to give everyone a good performance. So those are the numbers we work out each week just to keep a tracking. So in essence, they're very broad and simple metrics, but they drive out some really good value conversations to have. So I've got this out in a spreadsheet. This is just the sort of quick way of working through it. So at the end of each week, we're totaling up the time. So these columns are the time columns, whereby we've got a column for enforced stops, a column which there were no enforced stops this week, a column for delays or time where we couldn't work. So maybe I'd had to take other phone calls that were business related but weren't about business value for our clients. And then we have another column for waiting. So if I had to wait on other members of staff or clients or things because we needed sign off, they'd get delays there. It tends to be on an average week we're only getting the business delays rather than the other pieces that are just taking me away from work, and they just go into the availability at the end of the day. And then the last column is the planned breaks. So we've just got the planned lunch break in there. Some people will put in the planned say a morning and an afternoon tea breaks as well. I don't tend to include those because we're not consistent. We don't have enforced breaks. But if you did have that was cross team, then that fits in too. And the end of the day, we break that down into the little columns. Not really very viewable on this, but so we end up with the availability, the efficiency, and the quality. And just giving an example of this week, we ended up with sort of 90s or above 90s across the board with those, which met our OEE score. So that was good. That was a positive week. What I do with those also is then round those up into another chart, which is more the sort of business one that we monitor ongoing, whereby we'll put the numbers in for each week summarized, and that's the one that we're trying to maintain for the business value. And then we've got some graphs for the range that it was within that range, and was it hitting the targets each day, each week? Were they hitting the one of the three, and then the overall targets for that week? And we can then look at performance and quality, and what do we need to do to keep that a rolling constant. So that's good. I find the system quite flexible. So we've been able to include time off for people. Maybe people aren't working a day. They can just roll that time in as time that was planned not working. And realistically, all they're doing is recording delivered points and any downtime. And it's been working quite well. So I'd say thumbs up from us from there. It's given us a full circle back from our stepping through of planning meetings, giving story points, break them down to 2 weeks, the delivery of those points daily and weekly through that sprint, and then rolling into business planning for future. And then that feeds back to the business by reviewing the value of those points and the effectiveness of those delivery back to us planning of how we can improve and how we can keep flow going, rather than just it's a relative number and we're not really sure how we're getting it. So thanks very much for joining us on another 5 to 9, and we'll look forward to speaking again soon. And by all means, come and ask me for any questions or if you'd like to copy of the spreadsheet. Take care.